Yes, yes.
I think it's interesting because before you ever started, I was saying, my thought continues to go back to, after hearing some scientists talk about something in conscious, they were talking about consciousness and this and that, and proof in or out of the body, and yada yada. But, and then knowing my own experience and what I've done as silent meditation, which is being able to be and sort of like a watcher or the consciousness and see everything that's moving within it, including sensations, feelings, thoughts, and objects, all the objects, and coming to recognize what is not, does not appear to be an object, perception, or God, whatever one wants to call it. Anyway, long story short on this is that, so the thought says to me again, comes up and says, yeah, but, they talked about this evidence outside of the body, evidence inside the body, this and that, and Francis, Magdi, everybody talks about this, it's not produced by the body. But my thought continues to question that, okay? Even though my experience...
Let's just stop here for a minute.
Okay.
So, the thought is known, you know the thought.
Yeah.
But the thought does not know you.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
is known, but a thought is not knowing. Yes?
Correct.
So if you just contemplate that, I know the thought, I perceive the thought, but the thought does not know me, does not know the I. So why should I listen to a thought, my thought or Jehovah's thought or the greatest scientist's thought? Why should I listen to a thought and take the thought content as a knowingness about I?
Yeah.
Yes?
That's what I was getting out of this meditation this morning,
Yes.
really.
Yes. Also, if you contemplate the thought that says you are this, you take that, you accept that. And an hour later, a week later, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, the thought may say something a little different.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
And maybe 5, 10 years, 20 years later, when you were 3 years old, and when you were 13 years old, and when you were 23 years old, or when the body was 80 years old. The thoughts of a 3-year-old that appears may say, I am Superman, and I want to wear a Superman cape. The thought of a 15-year-old, may say, I'm, nobody loves me, and the thought of a 25-year-old boy may say, I'm Casanova, I need all the girls, etc. So given that the I is always I, I'm always I, thought is it's like the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's like, I'm going to get a headache, listening to the thought, taking the thought as a basis for what I am.
Yeah.
So you need to just really take that understanding at heart, because if you don't, you will you will say, yes, I got it, but then a few days later you go back to, you hear something, or a thought arises to you, and then it will create a confusion again about what you are.
Yeah, the form again.
Yeah. Consider that the I that thought is speaking about is what knows. Because there has to be a reality to the I. Because if there is no reality to the I, then we're talking about Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy, which is okay. I don't mind talking about Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. But we're talking now about I. So we're talking about something real, not about some imagination. So there is a reality that we refer to as I, or we refer to it as a self, or as God, or Atman, or etc. Right? But for simplicity purpose, we refer to it as I in this now conversation. So there is a reality that we're talking about. The reality. Reality is unchanging. If it's reality that's changing, why use the term reality? Let's use the term magic show. Yes, reality has the quality of ever-presence, eternity meaning, and not subject to conditions. The weather changes depending on the barometric pressure, depends on, what time of the year we are, how close we are to the sun, and how far it is winter, summer, spring, etc. Is changing. The I is not changing. That's it. So you have a lot of tools in your tool bag to remedy the ignorance that says I am what thought says I am, or I am what feeling, what the body or the sensation says I am.
I'm smiling and I hear you, and the ignorance word is a good word because it means, for me, is not understanding, not being able to understand the reality.
It's ignoring what you are, what you truly are.
Yes.
Ignorance is ignoring the truth, ignoring what you truly are. It's ignorance. I am ignoring.
Yes, and I think for me, and this is what I heard everything you said. I said, and part of me says, okay, I understand.
There are no parts to you.
Okay. But so thought says, okay, that there's been that experience, and this
thought is
I understand that thought is fickle and does what it does and moves and it changes and it does everything. It's continuously.
So if it's mad, then why are you even presenting it? Why are you bringing a madman to the?
This is where I'm getting at. Okay,
yes.
I think in a way, and so I can bring in a way so I can explain the experience now. Okay, because this is not about just something that's so simple. It is in a way about something that's so simple, and people think, oh, okay, it's just thought. Okay, what my experience is this. Okay. And the experience is that thought comes up and says that. So, and however my experience is, thought comes, goes, disappears, forms, does everything. So why would I believe thought? Okay. And yet, of course, then thought comes up and says, well, you have to use thought. So, you have to navigate the car and you have to do that. And so you have to use thought.
We're not talking about navigating.
I understand
the car requires thought. That's not. We're talking
about. So I think really what has happened, the deepest experience that I've had with this, okay, I'll say it that way, okay, whether that's the perfect way of saying it or whatever. The deepest experience I've had of this is that I know nothing other than the self. I know the rest is, the self is always there, okay? So why would I go to thought? Because that thought is going, like for instance, in the future. Well, if I die, well, consciousness, how can I be immortal? Or am I mortal?
Yeah.
So thought is doing all this, so I realize.
You don't have to listen to thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just ask why. Good question. Why? I would like to ask you that. Why? Why are you listening to somebody who is completely drunk? He's telling you he's telling you about yourself. It happened to me the other day. I was, in a meeting with somebody right in front of a building. This drunk came and I didn't understand a word he was saying. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand what a word he was saying.
So the deepest experience for me is that, and what I'm really the real question under this is does this sound like, in a sense? And I really don't really have to have it verified, because my experience will, myself is knows. But the deepest experience for me really is that I don't need to know future, because future is only thought. And but thought will fight with that. Okay,
Yes,
it'll fight with that. But I'm beginning to see that
thought can fight all it wants, but you won't fight. You don't fight.
And so the experience is, and then the other experience would be then is that when I speak to others, even when I talk about non-duality and this and stuff, I'm saying certain things and talking about the now, and there's nothing else, because it's all thought going into the future and the past and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. But so the deepest experience is what you're talking about. Yet at the same time, thought is still having.
It's not the deepest experience.
This drunk guy is still slobbering all over me.
It's not the deepest experience. It's the only experience. You never experience tomorrow or yesterday.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
And so what it sounds like you're saying, John, is that you're experiencing at times thought to be like really crazy and erratic and neurotic. You know, it's arising and it's. Okay, you may experience times where thought will get you off kilter, gets you into its mess. But what's important is that at some point or the other, you come back to, okay, fine, that was good enough. Okay, now I can just rest as being. Just keep coming back to resting as being. Being meaning formless presence, awareness, consciousness, the light of being. Okay? If thought arises and gets you on a little roller coaster ride, on the other side of the roller coaster ride, you're off the roller coaster. So what's important is that you come back to the rest, the restfulness. Now, it's helpful for you to hear, like we hear in satsang, that thought is known is not knowing.
Right.
The reason why we listen to thought is because we believe it. In other words, we believe that it knows.
Yes.
We believe there is something there. You see, we believe there is something there. So it's important to hear it again and again. That thought is known, like a fly, or if the windows open, a bird flies in here. It's perceived. That we perceive the bird flying. It may land on the coat hanger. A thought is like that. It arises, it's perceived, it is known, it does not know you. It has zero, absolutely no knowingness whatsoever of God, of you, of I, of that knows it. It's absolutely, it's like you perceive an oak tree. The oak tree has complete, absolute zero knowingness of I. But I has complete knowingness of the tree, has complete knowingness of the thought, and is completely free.
Yes.
Free of the tree. The tree can, maybe lightning, for example, that occurs to the tree. Okay, hopefully it won't fall on the house, but the self is untouched by that.
Yes.
The thought may arise whichever way, the self is untouched by that.
I'm just thinking, can we apply this to sensation?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because sensations can take over a lot.
It is actually more important to work at the sensation level than at the thought level. But the questions that John was raising were about thoughts. At the sensation level, it is, there is like 10 and 10 to the power 10. Now you're moving from 10 to 10 to the power 10. You're moving into the exponential realm. And this is where the bulk of the work is done, is at the sensation level. Because the sensation is much closer than the thought. Thought is more, it's like in music. There are some melodies are like, and then there are some melodies where there's a lot of stuff happening. It's much more intense. Similarly, at the feeling level, it catches your attention much more. It has a longer retention. The echo of the sensation and of the feeling is much longer than the echo of the thought. And often a thought triggers a sensation, or that they come hand in hand. Then it inhabits the sensory realm, and then the sensation amplifies the thought. The main sensation that we experience is the invisible sensation, or the low visibility sensation, which is I am this body, the sense of me. We all, until we wake up from it, we experience a sense of me. So we'll be in the shower, we'll be eating, there is a sense of me. And usually there is also an arising of the me thought. Yeah. But not all the time, because you'll be neurotic, you'll be in an asylum, but it arises, throughout the day. But the sensation of a me is going on throughout the day. This is why people need many hours of sleep to rest from that. When you are free from that ignorance, you need very little sleep, or in some cases, they just say very little sleep, because you are at rest throughout the day. That me sensation is a non-rest state, is a state of a light agitation. Now, that's the me feeling. And then there are the emotions. Like, for example, we get some sickness in the body, or we feel some sensation in the body. Now we feel like we are going to die, or we feel like that we're getting very sick, and or an emotion would be if somebody, for example, says, "Oh, you're not beautiful," or you're stupid, whatever. Then the emotion, the me sense, will rise into an emotion. Okay, but when there is no me sense, somebody says you're stupid, you say, "Oh, that's interesting." I think I can be stupid. Or says you're ugly. Oh yeah, I can see that. I can be very ugly. I'm ugly. Yeah, I could be ugly, because there is no me sense. So it's the me sense that gets a lot of juice comes in it when there are certain circumstances that trigger it, and then you have the emotion. But coming back to your question, how to work with the emotions and the feelings. Now, when an emotion arises, there is usually, I'm talking about negative emotions, fear, anger, anxiety, jealousy, etc., fear of death, etc. There is usually a me thought that has arisen. But you usually, until you're progressed in your practice, you're unable to see the me thought. You're just into the feeling. The feeling at its, and what I'm saying is not going to be helpful to you, but let me say it anyways. It may be helpful at a certain point in your contemplation. A feeling is basically a neutral sensation. A neutral sensation with plus a me. Is a neutral sensation plus a me, the me story. Oh, what's happening to me? The sensation is neutral, But when you add the me to it, the sensation becomes a feeling. Right? When the me is loud, because there are different degrees of me. Sometimes somebody says something, I feel slightly irritated. Oh, it's okay. Somebody says, I lose $20, it's okay. I lose $1,000, it's not okay as I lost the $20. Yes, so there are. Wait, ça va?
C'est bien.
Okay, so there are sometimes a me sensation that's high. That's it. So it's a pure sensation with the me. Then you have an emotion. So it's a feeling and the emotion. Emotion is a feeling on steroids. Okay? On steroids. Now, what's helpful when a feeling arises? An emotion is more difficult because emotion has to calm down until you can do that. But when a feeling arises, is for you to practice doing nothing. Doing nothing. You don't think of a way out about. You don't think a way about it. You don't think about trying to understand it. You don't think about trying to classify it or compare it to how it was last week. You don't try to find a remedy of how to get rid of it. You don't get up and go eat ice cream or eat chocolate to feel better. You don't turn on the television to distract yourself. You do nothing. You do nothing for 5 minutes. You don't move, you don't walk, you don't stand up, you don't talk, you don't go get a drink of water. You just do nothing. You stay in your complete stillness. If possible, stay in the stillness without doing anything. And I said 5 minutes, it may be less or more. Don't worry about the time it takes. And a feeling is maintained with our argumentation with it, with our doing, with our coming as a person, addressing a feeling as a person, maintains it and exacerbates it. Now, the difficulty with doing nothing with the feeling is that a feeling has also in it a sense of personal threat. That there is something's happening to me. Something's happening to me. Nothing is happening to you. I know the feeling is very convincing, maybe more convincing than the words that I'm saying, but still I will tell you that nothing is happening to you. Nothing is ever happening to you. Nothing ever happens to you. Because you are not what you think you are. You are not what you believe you are. You are not what you feel you are. You are not what you imagine you are. You are not what others people say you are. You are not what your mother says you are. Nothing happens to you. Now, in time you will come to become experientially aware that nothing is really happening to you. But for you to come to that experiential knowingness that nothing is happening to you, you have to go through the fire of the feelings and the emotions, in particularly the emotions, by allowing them, allow those emotions or those feelings to kill you, if that's what they want to do. It would be a great killing if they kill you. Allow them to kill you. Don't offer any resistance. You will be like, do you know they have this expression of through the fire they comes out as a phoenix, the bird comes out as a phoenix, or I don't know, there's something like that, that you come out as a phoenix. You have to die to the emotion or to the feeling. We usually don't. We struggle very, very hard that nothing happens to us. If you look at it, you will notice that we don't allow it, we fight it, we argue with it, we think about it, we analyze it, we go get remedies, we take therapies, we never, rarely do we allow ourselves to die to it. And this is why it continues. It continues. It's like you have to kill the fleas, you have to, it's not a very nice metaphor, but you have to be done with it. It's an illusion, nothing will happen to you. Actually, something very beautiful will be born out of this death. So allow yourself to relax. Adopt a relaxed bodily position. Often when we are inside some feelings, we contract. The body contracts, the muscles contract, the shoulders, the face. These contractions are a way in which the body is fighting. You see? And you have to relax all these sensations. Surrender all these sensations to the space. You have to turn your attention as much as possible to the sensations of contraction, the arguments, where the body is holding. It could be in your hands, it could be your feet, your belly. And release these sensations into the space. Release them. Allow the light of being to sort of shine through everything, because it's shining. Yeah, it's shining. So that's these. Maybe you see, I probably should do some of these yogas. Maybe even 5 minutes or 10 minutes of. Just practice surrendering, releasing, relaxing all the sensations. Like now, even as you are sitting, there are sensations, in your body. You just turn your attention to the sensation of your thighs or your knees or your legs or your feet on the ground. And just notice the space around the sensation. There is space around the sensation. And invite the sensation to flow and float, through the entire space, through the ground. There are no obstacles through the walls. You relax your belly. Always relax your belly, your face, your neck. And turn your attention to any sensation, be a sensation of your belly. Open it. Allow the sensation to expand. Outwardly, through the space of this room, through the walls, through the entire space. Allow your sensation of your belly to hover over the house, to float in with the clouds, over the clouds, above the clouds, to float over the entire state, over the entire earth. So allow the sensation to expand and continue to expand. Any contraction, any thought that arises, just relax it and release it and allow it to join in this expansion. Give it its complete freedom, the freedom of awareness. Your neck, the back of your neck, your shoulders. Whatever slight contraction, sensation you feel there. Release it, release it. Open your back, your entire back. Open your back and allow all the sensations to just flow outwardly, through the walls, into the space. Just notice this. Notice the openness. Notice the infinite space, the space of being. Allow yourself to expand every part of your body to float into the space. Just keep expanding in the infinite space. So every day do this. Don't wait for a reason, a particular reason to do it, like any issue. No. You know, when you are going to the Olympics, you practice before the Olympics. You know, you practice every day. You go running around your house. You go running in the gym, etc. You go running in the school. May have a track field. You run. You don't wait for the competition to you practice during your off time. So you need to practice this sense that you got from that this couple of minutes. Just a sense of that. There isn't like a special way or method to do it. But if you have any questions, just call me. Do that regularly. Do it often. And so that your body mind will be sort of habituated. So when there is a situation that arises, you already have a certain degree of familiarity with just being at ease. It's difficult to jump into it, you know, without having had a little bit of a feeling of it. Yes? Okay.